It was a quiet evening when Emma decided to visit the old antique shop on the corner of Maple Street. The shop had always intrigued her, with its dusty windows and mysterious aura. On that day, something drew her inside. As she entered, the bell above the door chimed softly, and she was greeted by the scent of aged wood and old leather. The shop was filled with an assortment of antiques, old paintings, clocks, and worn-out furniture. But one item caught her attention, a large, ornate mirror standing in the back corner. Its dark wooden frame was intricately carved with twisted vines and ancient symbols. There was something oddly captivating about it. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with deep wrinkles and cloudy eyes, noticed her staring at the mirror. "Ah, that one," he said, his voice raspy. "It's a rare piece. It belonged to a woman named Lydia, well, let's just say she had an unfortunate connection with it." Emma, intrigued, asked about the story. The man hesitated for a moment before speaking in a low whisper. "They say this mirror is cursed. It shows you things. Not just your reflection, but other things you can't explain. People who stared into it long enough disappeared." Emma laughed it off, dismissing the old man's words as mere superstition. She wasn't one to believe in curses or ghosts. However, something about the mirror still unsettled her. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she bought the mirror, feeling a strange compulsion to own it. That night, she placed the mirror in her bedroom. As she sat on her bed, she found herself staring at it for longer than she intended. Her reflection looked normal at first, but then, as she continued to gaze into it, something changed. The image in the mirror began to distort, the edges becoming blurry. Slowly, a figure appeared behind her, standing just out of view. She spun around, but the room was empty. Her heart raced, but she chalked it up to an overactive imagination. As she turned back to the mirror, she saw the figure again, closer this time. It was a woman, dressed in an old-fashioned gown, her face obscured by long, black hair. Emma's blood ran cold. The figure in the mirror began to move, slowly reaching out toward her. Emma stumbled back, terrified. Her reflection began to smile at her, but it wasn't her smile. It was a wicked, unsettling grin. Desperate, she grabbed the mirror and tried to turn it around, but as soon as she did, she felt an icy chill in the air. The reflection of the woman in the mirror was now directly behind her. She could hear soft whispering, words she couldn't understand. Suddenly, the woman's hand shot out from the mirror, grabbing Emma's wrist with unnatural strength. She screamed, but the shopkeeper's warning echoed in her mind. "Once it takes you, you never come back." The lights flickered and Emma's vision blurred. As she fought to free herself, the mirror seemed to pull her in. The last thing she saw before everything went black was the woman's face, now grinning wider than ever, her eyes filled with hunger. The next morning, the mirror was found on the floor, cracked and shattered. But there was no sign of Emma. Her disappearance remained a mystery, and the mirror was once again returned to the shop, waiting for its next victim. The shopkeeper smiled knowingly. "It's always the curious ones." And so, the cursed mirror continued to haunt the streets of Maple, waiting for the next person to cross its path.